The man
Call
is
somebody,
back,
tell
y'all.
somebody.
He's
We're back. Call
He's
your
back.
mama, call your daddy.
We're back and we're back.
We're back.
Tony McGee,
He's back, y'all.
We're back. Tony
Hey.
McGee.
Come on.
Tony McGee, Pro Football Plus. Tony McGee, Pro Football Plus. Tony McGee.
Welcome to the show, and as I told you last week, a couple of weeks ago, we got a power-packed show this week. We'll talk about a Super Bowl that wasn't super. We'll talk about a team that didn't accomplish everything they need to. But first, we'll talk about the Black 14. But before we do that, and that Black 14 is a group that's waiting to love the world. But before we go there, we have to pay homage to a young man that was on the show a few weeks ago, a very good man, a very good football player, and a big loss. Donna, we're talking about Trey Johnson.
Yeah, Tony, this was unfortunate. It was a shock to everybody to learn that our friend Trey Johnson, who has been on the show for forever, we've reached out to him and he always come on with us, Tony, and he passed away over the weekend. And so we are pretty devastated in this loss. You're talking about an all-pro offensive lineman that played with the Washington Redskins. That was Trey Johnson. What a loss to the community. After football, he went into teaching in the Montgomery County area of the DMV, and he was so instrumental in so many ways, Tony. Definitely a guy that's going to be missed. And Solomon, you know him well too.
Trey Pound, rest in peace to Trey Pound. Very, very great football player, but even better teacher. I actually knew some of the children he taught in Montgomery County, and he actually helped them through some tough times. Very good man. You know, before he was a good athlete, he was a good man. So rest in peace to Trey Johnson, and I just give condolences to his family.
And Tony, you were basically, I believe, a teammate of Trey Johnson.
No, I was a little older than him.
Well, a little older, but you knew him well. You knew his skill set. And we interviewed Trey. He was on the show back in when they played the Raiders in 2025. Always a face on the show. What is your memories of Trey?
My memories were that he was a tough football player. He was an old school football player, and he was an intelligent football player. You think about all those things. He was a good man. We all know that, but he was just a good man all the way around. And we lost a great friend with him. He may have been quiet at places, but whenever he spoke, you heard his voice. So we ask that he rest in peace, and we'll be praying for his family. And, you know, it was a big loss.
And, Tony, you had a main guest that we interviewed, the one and only JB.
I was going to bring that in when we come back real quick. We'll take a little break so I can wipe these tears I don't have.
Hey, Tony, but you're going to bring him in, but you got to lead into the one and only. You got to give him some shout.
Oh, you mean the superstar?
Yes, James Brown from CBS.
Can I get a drum roll? Ladies and gentlemen, now, as you know, we're talking about the hardest working man in show business. When we come back, we'll be talking to James Brown. And as you know, he is the best. We'll be back in a moment.
Seahawks, you didn't even see them in the beginning of the season as people really talking about them being in the Super Bowl and winning the Super Bowl. Sam Darnold, who was with the Minnesota Vikings, 14 wins that season, 14 wins this season, and they get rid of him and he lands over in Seattle. You got a young coach that's coaching over at Seattle, 36 years old, just January the 31st of this year, as far as Mike McDonald. And what Seattle did all season long, 17 wins, but then the Patriots, 17 wins. And everybody was saying, these two teams in the Super Bowl, well, the best two teams ended up in the Super Bowl. So I'll let Tony have the floor. I just wanted to give a little layout.
That was a very, very a good take on everything that's going on with this. When I went into the game, the only reason I went for New England is because I played there 8 years. And just for your information, Don, I had 77 sacks in those 8 years. Well, I'm not going to say
Hey,
that.
Tony, but they did win. Tony, you picked with your head, your heart.
I know it was wrong, but
what did I tell you? Defense. Well, everybody said defense wins championships. Well, in this case, they definitely did. Defense did win the Super Bowl with the Seattle Seahawks. And looking at that 6 sacks, they get a touchdown return, interception for a touchdown. That defense was smothering as far as the young Drake May, and nothing taken away from the Patriots, because to get to the Super Bowl is huge. But the domination of the Seahawks defense did New England in.
Well, you kind of knew that, and I'm going to go to you, JB. And you notice this year is a change, and we knew it was going to be people probably in the Super Bowl you never expected. You see this, and the only reason I wouldn't go for New England with their wins, because a lot of those wins were at the last minute where it could have gone either way. Seattle had played tough games the last 2 years, and I tell you what, I knew they was a better team, but I'm gonna still say this, and they don't have to like it. The Super Bowl was boring to me. It wasn't the same. Because those guys, JB, it looked right from the beginning, Seattle took control of that game.
And you know what, Tony, I would appreciate you and Donna both commenting on what you saw as well. But I guess over the years, as I've tried to learn, and again, for all of the folks who follow you and Donna on this, I've learned tremendously from the both of you guys. Let me be crystal clear, because I've talked to Donna way too many times, and I'm like, man, she talked to the Professor Tony McGee on this bad boy, but she understands it. So here's what I've learned in terms of accumulated knowledge over the years. Yeah, to the fans, it might have been boring, but your guy, Bill Cowher, has really helped me to appreciate defense and the roles. I can remember hearing Shannon Sharp say so many times in the studio, wait a minute, they played a defense too, right? So they pay the defense, they pay special teamers. We always talk about it's 3 phases to the game. So let's appreciate when we've seen that. I truly appreciated what I was saying and what I was seeing in Seattle, where Coach Mike McDonald talked about the team attitude was chasing the edges, doing things within your skill set and go all out. If you make a mistake, so what? Come back at it. You know what you're supposed to do. And they played free. It was almost as if they went into the game knowing they were the better team.
Thank you.
Still give New England credit. They kept the score low, 6-0, 9-0, 12-0. So it's not like Seattle ran away with it. So I appreciated the artistry and the beauty and the excellence of the defense and what it was doing as well, too. And towards the end of the game, we saw things opening up. I would go to you and Donna and ask you. I continue to hear Chris Collinsworth and the other folks saying, well, why won't Drake May run the ball a bit more? Hey, Tony and Donna, again, I'm the novice, but I saw Seattle, as aggressive as they were in the defense, they still kept that middle clogged up, and Drake May better going up the middle. He didn't have those opportunities frequently, but let me shut up and hear what the two of you have to say.
Oh, no, you were right on key there, wasn't it, Donna? And you take a look at that. This is the new kind of game we're going to have, and let's look at this whole playoff thing. During the playoffs, we looked at all the teams, and you know we like the San Francisco, we like all those teams. But it's a change in the game now, isn't it, Donna? I mean, it's a change in the who teams you got to look for now. You look, nobody thought New England or Seattle would be up there. New England really just took Washington's place from last year in a way. But as you take a look at this, these teams are building, they're getting younger, and it's just like in all sports, and JB and Donna, y'all both know this. Father Time ain't lost no game. So if you take a look at it, I kind of expected that, but I did want a little bit more excitement. But that Super Bowl, Donna, and you can elaborate on this, that Super Bowl was a Super Bowl of well-coached teams. And the one with the best defense won the game. And I know they scored 29 points, but the defense was good. Like as James was saying, look how they held them 9 points, 12 points. It could have been a blowout in the first half.
Hey, Tony, I'm ashamed of you being the defensive player to say that the Super Bowl was boring. I said, coming from a defensive-minded person, you played on that side of the ball, to say it was boring because it was dominant defense, Tony. Coming in, Seattle was known to be a defensive team, and they had offense. I talked to Jason Campbell, former quarterback for the Commanders and other teams before the Super Bowl, and he laid out two areas that was key. The running game was the edge that Seattle had on New England, because Kenneth Walker and what he did was tremendous. So they had the defensive side of the ball dominant, and then they had the running game. They had 141 yards rushing to the Patriots 79. So the game was won in the running game for Seattle, and also defense. Tony, you need to wash your mouth out.
Hey, wait, whoa.
Super Bowl.
If it wasn't for New England, I wouldn't have been traded here and got a chance to be in the Super Bowl.
But Tony, you said it was boring. Wash up your mouth with soap, Tony, because it was not boring. Because I like to see a side of the ball that you talked about all year long being dominant.
Yeah, I like it too.
And like James said, that they could not run the ball. They said, why did Drake May not run the ball? Well, he ran it a little bit, but how can you run a defense where the edges were protected up the middle? That's how you play defense. You take away everything, the corners, the middle, the back end of the defense was just as strong. Devin Witherspoon played an outstanding game because he shut down everything. So you rattle the thing going in, like James said, you had two solid coaches on both sides. It was going to be a chess match. But what they did on the young coach in Mike McDonald, he basically scripted up where he said, this young quarterback, we're going to rattle him from the beginning of the game and take him out. And that's what they did. The Drake May is, he would, although he had played against some great defenses coming into the playoff, Denver and the other people that they had to meet, he did not play against a defense like Seattle that just came at you. So I think it was the game plan as far as, we're going to rattle this young quarterback and we're going to take him out of the game. They took him out of the game, Tony, in the beginning. They had 3 turnovers. He had, so to me, they won the chess match over in Seattle, plus that running game with Kenneth Walker. He was dominant.
And I think James made a great point there where he said they were doing more or less than we used to call it the 2 gap. And that's when you line up head up on a man and you could go either way. So whichever way that lineman was going, the linebacker went the other way. Therefore, every hole was filled. And that's always a good way to stop the run. You don't need to always penetrate or anything. You have your guys up there 2 gaps so they can go either way. And you always say what you're going to do before. But I call it boring, James, is because they're like basketball. When you're not out there, it's boring.
No, and you know what, Tony, and I do get where you're coming from, because let's face the facts. The reason the numbers are so big on the Super Bowl, not unlike any major event. I mean, when the Olympics come around, folks who don't follow figure skating all year, but the big event brings all of these casual fans and some who are not fans at all, who don't really know the game. So it's boring from that standpoint because they just want to see some fireworks. Everything is offensively oriented in terms of mindset. Man, the game can be 40-39. They'll say it was a great game. I don't know if the defensive coaches would have called that a great game, but the casual fans are expecting that. So I do understand it, but I'm just glad to see. And Tony, trust me, you're like the professor with both Donna and I, and you're so patient as a professor because we're coming at you, and you're like, look at my kids. They've learned well from me, and they're coming at me. And Donna, I love the relationship with you and Donna, though, because you have taught her so well, and you're like, oh, I'm so proud of her. But she keeps coming at you good. But that's the only reason why it was probably boring from that standpoint, Tony. Mm-hmm.
And maybe I should take that back. It really wasn't boring, but it just, the control was there from the beginning of the game. You could see that New England was in trouble just from the beginning. Even though they were holding them to 3 points, you knew sooner or later they weren't going to be able to hold them to 3 points. So therefore, that's why I say that. But I shouldn't say that, because anytime you can get to the Super Bowl, it's not boring. And they got there. Now I want to ask you, James, as well as you, Donna, what other teams now can we look for maybe next year? Because we see a changing of the guard, just like in basketball. I don't even watch LeBron and them like I used to because I know it's getting ready to change. I don't even watch Golden State like I used to because I know they're changing. Football is changing now. We mentioned that all year. Who's another up-and-coming team? And I'm going to say one right away.
Please.
These guys lost last week, so I ain't going to. And Donna know who I'm talking about. And I'm going to see if you can guess it out. Very good defense. Played well, but the quarterback had 4 turnovers. Y'all can't figure.
Oh, Houston?
Yes.
Donna and Tony, you know what? I was just about to ask the both of you. Tony, yes. The element that I was going to point to is Drake May, who had a very successful season all year long, second-year quarterback in the MVP conversation. But look at what happened to him in the Super Bowl. I mean, the Seattle Seahawks had an answer for everything. And I was wondering, although I don't get the impression it's going to be the case, what that was doing to his confidence, because he's been doing so well. And I was going to reference Houston. It is my fervent prayer that CJ Stroud is going to be okay, because that was, I felt so badly for him, Tony and Donna, because on his face, it was like he could not find an answer. And I was just hoping that his confidence wouldn't be so sunk low that it would cause him to regress. Because from year one, when he came on with the splash, and you guys probably know better than me, I was trying to recall who the offensive coordinator was. Coaching matters. And the offensive coordinator he had there, he's had changes each year, and he's not the same quarterback. I was just wondering whether D'Amico Ryans was actually going to pull him out for his own good and put somebody else in. I think about Bryce Young and the Red Rifle, Andy Dalton. That was a great relationship because Andy Dalton was all about grooming and encouraging his quarterback buddy, Bryce Young, to come back strong. That's a real strong comeback story there, because he could have fallen off the cliff. So I'm just hoping that CJ Stroud, such a good young man, and a kind of coach and quarterback are there to help him get back. Anyway, your thoughts, please.
That's
folks.
the only reason. And Donna, you can answer to this. That's the only reason they lost that game. He had a bad game. And what he needed to realize, just like everyone, I did not get to the Super Bowl till my 13th year, and I was still nervous. That Super Bowl, as you said, so many people are watching it, and it's the ultimate game. And some people did think, now he got next to it, but I really think if he'd have played well, Houston would have been the Super Bowl champs. That's all I'm looking at.
No question, because Houston's defense was like the Seattle Sea. That defense would just help me out. And you know what? While everybody probably wanted to see, Donna, and I'm coming to you, wanted to see Sam Darnold play a phenomenal game, he didn't try to do more than he needed to do. He said he wasn't the reason they won. It was the defense. He didn't do anything to hurt them. And that's what would have been nice with Houston if, in fact, because that Houston defense, those guys can flat out play. Donna?
Yeah, I think you all hit it on. Let's talk about the young quarterbacks in the NFL, because a lot of them were in the playoffs. And it brought to mind, as far as you said, you have to be coached up. Jason Campbell and I talked about having the right coordinator to develop these young quarterbacks. You got a Drake May that was developed really well. And then, like you said, CJ Stroud. But when you look at Jayden Daniels, he's got a new offensive coordinator. Kingsbury is no longer with him. So Blau is the guy, David Blau is going to be the guy that coaches up Jayden Daniels in his third year. So it'll be interesting to see as far as his development. He's been there for ever since Jayden has been there. So Jason Campbell was saying that when you've got young quarterbacks, as we're seeing across the NFL, that class that came out with Jayden, that class that came out with Drake May and CJ, you have to have that right coordinator that develops these guys to push them forward, to see the improvement from year to year. So that's the reason why I said, let's see, even in Washington with, you go up to Chicago with Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson coached up Caleb Williams this year to help his development move forward, because his first year was a train wreck. But the second year, you saw the growth, you saw him settle down. And I think that that's the key thing in looking at this. But even changing pages a little bit from the quarterback situation, let's talk about the 11 coaching vacancies that were here in the NFL this year. Mike Tomlin leaves Pittsburgh after that many years there. And then McCarthy ends up there, which I'm not for sure if that was the right move. But when you look at the coaches, 11 across the board, and this is Black History Month, so I have to bring this up. You don't get any Black coaches as head coaches in the NFL this year with 11 vacancies. How do you all see that? I know that the commissioner talked about that during the Super Bowl as far as looking into that, some of the things that they put in place. But to me, enough hasn't been put in place because it comes down to the owners, basically hiring coaches. And for, the African-American coach, that window is still closed to a certain degree.
Yeah, it is. And I had to agree with you on that. But at the next thing, I look at how many African-American coaches were in the playoffs this year. And I was kind of happy with that. So we made progress. But what you're saying in so many words, we need more progress.
I'm talking about head coaching, Tony, across
That's
the
what I'm
NFL.
talking about, head coaching.
Yeah.
I'm talking about head coach.
11, Tony, 11 vacancies, and you get none.
Yeah, but and I can understand exactly what you're saying, but I'm trying to look at it in a progressive way because now the new thing is your coach got to be 30 and younger. Do we have any African Americans 30 and younger that are getting an opportunity to come up through the ranks? No, we don't. That may be a reason they didn't hire 11 because they haven't been coming through the ranks into the last few years. It has really been a good change for that. So,
Tony, you got some. You got some out there.
To tell you the truth, though, I don't look at that anymore as much as I used to because I look at things that never change and you just talk about it as it is. And I look at it and I just look at the progress that has been made and, and how the game has changed. And now they're going with the coaches. Yes, it's not, they didn't hire any African Americans this year, but they did in prior years. So, I'm going to be a little easy. This is not.
Tony, you can't look back on prior years. It's only what's happening right now. James, I'm going to let you have the floor. Tony talking nonsense.
Well, you know what, Donna, it's painful because we know the league is 70% African American. Number two, I think at this point, African American coaches have shown they bring the same intelligence, determination, grit, discipline to the table as anybody else. So on the surface of it, it is very hurtful to see that there were no serious candidates in that loop. And they've been talking the league. I do know this firsthand, that Roger Goodell and Troy Vincent are very seriously focused on this, but it's not a dictatorship. They work for 32 owners, and they've got to work on those teams, those leaders, to be serious about seeing that talent comes in different colors. And yes, even when we fought for women in the C-suite in the game of football, intelligence is not unique to a sex or a gender. It is given across the board. So it is a little hard, and I think on the surface we need to dig deeper. But what I think has been palpably clear is that owners, it's almost a copycat league. If they look and see somebody else has done well, what they consider to be a quarterback whisperer, because it is a quarterback-driven league. It changed radically from the time when Tony and Sonny Jurgensen, God bless him, and any of the folks played the game. Exactly. The game is so offensively focused right now. The rules are so offensively focused that's why it's a quarterback-driven league. But it doesn't mean that these quarterbacks necessarily are ready to step in year one. I recall it wasn't too long ago when Tony was teaching us, Donna, that it was okay for a high draft pick quarterback to carry the clipboard for a year, 2, 3, or 4 before they step in. Because at the NFL level, that's a whole different game. These are the best of the best playing at that game. And when I look at what the pattern is that the Green Bay Packers have followed, it is that quarterback carrying the clipboard. Heavens, Aaron Rodgers carried the clipboard. Brett Favre carried the clipboard. Jordan Love carried the clipboard, and it hasn't hurt. So you put them in a sink or swim proposition early on, and some just aren't ready for that, a.k.a. Sam Darnold. But Sam Darnold persevered, went to the right teams, and now he gets an opportunity. And he was so clear on the set, again, talking about the success of the Seahawks. He didn't hurt their efforts, because I heard Teddy Bruschi, the former New England Patriot linebacker, saying that the way the Patriots were looking at it, their team was being told, Sam Darnold will give you an opportunity. He's going to throw a pick that's continued. And he didn't. That was maturity. He didn't have to do it because his defense, his special teams, the kickers, they did a job. All he had to do was not to hurt them. That takes wisdom as well. Does it not? Am I wrong to either of you in that regard with what I was saying?
No, I agree with you totally.
On Tony, but we got a few minutes. He's 100% on, but I want you to be able to get in the Black 14 also in what you all have done too. We have a few more minutes. Want you to get James' take on, Tony being one of the Black 14.
But see, James know it, and we've talked about it quite a bit. And I think the message that we're trying to get across now is not look at us as the Black 14. Look at us as 14 guys that's trying to make a change. And that's what we do. In the last couple of years, we've given out 1.5 million pounds of food to underserved neighborhoods. Where did we get that food? Brigham Young University. Okay? They did more for us than one own. And it's unreal, the things that we're getting. We're talking to people overseas. We're doing different things. People are starting to look at, I guess, because we're so old now, we the next airmen.
Tony, but that is so awesome. Hey, and I know Donna is keeping us on track, I guess, because of the time. Can I just say up front, I love the varied topics that we talk about here where we can get in deeper. Can we do this more? I mean, you know what? Look, am I sleep deprived after 22 weeks of traveling the whole night? Yes, but you and Donna, you stimulate thought on very important topics. Tony, thank you for commenting. That's an eye-opener to me where you're saying BYU was the one that stepped up to the table. But isn't that the ideal that we all ought to aim for, that we are a human family? We have a tendency to get so caught up in, Tony, I heard what you were saying. Many people say the Black 14, but it was 14 looking for change, because in this society, unfortunately, when you've got a descriptor in front of a word like the Black 14, automatically people are thinking racist, unfair treatment, inferior. That's not the case. BYU, these folks responded on and I don't even know the particulars, but they responded on a human level. And isn't that what it's supposed to be?
People need to know about it.
Thank you. Absolutely.
People need to know about it.
Look, Donna knows that Pastor Brown will get going on this one. So yeah, thank you.
Yes.
That's all right, Pastor. You know what? You've been a big part of this all the way, and Donna have. Donna was interviewing me back when people didn't even know what the 14 was, and I appreciate from you guys. Emily is going to be on with us today, James. And
oh, wow. Please tell Miss Emily Deutsch hello. That's a woman who has a heart for the right thing, period.
No question. No question.
Well, Tony, we ran out of time. And as James said, that we got to do this throughout the whole season, because it's a lot of topics we need to bring up. I love that 14 guys trying to make a change. But Tony, as they say, we got to get out of here.
I to say, a day without you two guys is like a day without sunshine. So we never saying goodbye. We say in the minute.
And Donna come up with some other topics. Let's do more of this. This is awesome.
We will.
I hope the audience appreciates it as well.
As I told you, we got a lot of people on the show this week. We want to have fun. So we start with a young lady that I've been knowing. She was talking about her father, Terry Crooks. And she had a story for you, did she not, Donna?
Yeah, Tony, how fitting that the Winter Olympics are going in right now. And so you're talking about knowing Muhammad Ali. Yeah, let's go to the 1960 boxing Olympics where Terry's father won a gold. And joining us today is Terry Crooks to talk about her dad, who is being honored And when you look at his resume, as far as what he did in the community, as far as in the military, he was in the Army, and also we're going to talk about the Olympics too. And it's funny that we're talking about the Olympics a little bit with her father. Is the Winter Olympics is going on right now. So how fitting is that? Let's get right into this as far as your father, Edward Crooks Jr., as what you all are doing in the community in a gym being donated in his name. Could you talk a little bit about that and that highlight?
Yes, it's been a long road, but we're so excited because I didn't know about all the things that my dad had done until he passed in 2005. And it made sense. My siblings and I said, no wonder he didn't want to go to any war movies, because there was a popular movie when we were growing up that was playing at the theater. And we said, Dad, let's go to see this movie. And he looked at us and said, why should I go when I lived it? And we were like, whoa. But we didn't know how he lived it. Okay. But for him to make that statement, we just backed up and said, okay, well, we won't ask that question again. But it wasn't until he passed and we saw the awards. We saw the meaning of the awards. Now, Mom had a trophy counter. Back in the day, all the trophies were up and everything, and we had to dust it off. But when you were kids, you weren't paying attention to what they meant, okay? And so it wasn't until he passed and you went, he got 2 Purple Hearts, and that means you were wounded, okay? And then he got a silver medal and a bronze medal. And then when we read all the things that he had done, how he saved his battalion, okay? And the way they told the story and what had happened, and we sat back and we said, all of these years, we had no idea.
Your father was a hero, is what you're saying. Really.
Exactly.
He served his country in the military. And like you said, 2 tours in the Vietnam War,
right,
ending as a commander sergeant major. Yes, and like you said, he was awarded a Silver Star, a Bronze Star, and 2 Purple Hearts. That is huge. That is like honor. And then he also played football in the military also. But beyond the football, which he was a great football player, it was the honors, like you said, is what he did as far as, risking his life for his platoon, saving the platoon, and getting 2, not 1, 2 Purple Hearts. Right. So that is huge as far as what he's done in the community with his military service. And like I said, that is huge honors to be shouted out loud to the community. But let's go back to the gym that's being donated in his name also. Where is that taking place? And the location, the date, because for all that he's done, his flowers are being given to him right now. And it's about the legacies that go on after you have done your duty, your assignments. It's the legacies, and his is being talked about right now with that gym.
Yes. The gym is at Fort Benning, Georgia. And that's where he was stationed last upon retirement. And they actually have the gym placed where he retired from in Sand Hills. And I used to take him to work when I needed to use the car in the mornings. And so it was just amazing as an adult riding through there and seeing the gym where not far from where I dropped him off to go to work.
And we'll get into the sports part in a little bit after we hear about just the exact naming of that gym.
Yes, it's called Soldier Performance Readiness Center.
There you go.
And it has his name, Edward Eddie, because they all called him Eddie.
A.K. Eddie.
Crook Jr. Yes. So, I mean, when I started on,
he's huge. He's huge. And I want to get in about the sports part, because the military part stands by itself. But for all of you people, I told you, we're in the Winter Olympics right now. And when I talk about the Olympics, Edward, a.k.a. Eddie, won a gold medal in the Olympics in 1960. But leading up to that, let's give you a little information. In 1956, he was at the Olympic trials going up against Joe Torres. Everybody knows him, and he was in the World Light Heavyweight Championship. And in 1960, everything just started to fall in line for Eddie as far as he won the Golden Globe Championship. I want to shout that out. And that's not easy. And also the Eastern Region AAU title, and was considered a favorite to make the Olympic team in 1960, which he did. And I'm going to let you talk about the rest of it, because I want to let you shout out your dad a little bit.
Well, one of the things that I learned that I did not know is that when he went to the Olympics, when he was qualifying for the Olympics back before the 1960, he broke his hand. He won the fight, but he couldn't go on. Okay. And he had to say to himself, okay, in 4 more years, I'm going to be 31. Should I do it? And I asked him, I said, Dad, so why did you do it? And he said, because I knew I could. And whoa, that was heavy for me. Okay. And sure enough, he went on to the 1960 Olympics. And the thing is, they talked about him so bad, Donna. And, I'm reading articles. They were calling him an old man. I said, at 31? But they were calling him an old man. And
31 is old.
Yeah. And back then it was old in all caps. Okay. And so they talked about him so bad. But he ignored the chatter. And I would ask him about these things. And all of us, we were just curious kids, okay? And we would ask and say, but why? And you had to go against all that negativity. And he said, one of the things that we learned to do is that you don't let nobody inside your head. You get inside theirs. And hence, that's what started with Muhammad Ali when he went pro, because when they were training for the Olympics, and by the way, Muhammad Ali called Daddy because he was 31. It was so cute.
Calling somebody Daddy at 31.
Yes, but see, he was 17. So it was like... it was just interesting how he felt that when they came to him, when they saw how well he was training, and they asked him, okay, you're looking good here. Would you be able to gain weight and go to the next weight level? Okay.
And he was 165 pounds in that class in the Olympics, 165.
Yes. And you know what he said? He said, yes, I can, because my wife is a darn good cook, so I can get there.
Yeah. I mean, when you look at his accolades as far as his trip to the Olympics, and like I said, the awards he won leading up to that, Olympic trials in 1956, but leading up to Rome, he was the favorite, because look at this. He knocked out 3 of his first 4 opponents, before winning 3-1 decision in the final. And this is the thing, like you said, he was 31 years old, gold medal in 1960, and Muhammad Ali was boxing at that same time. He won a gold also. But I know that we don't have a lot of time, and you got to come back and we'll talk about this a little bit more. But could you give the people again the information about If they wanted to come to the ceremony where it's going to be held, the name again of the gym that's going to be named in your dad's honor. Again, Olympic going on right now. We've got an Olympic daughter on here with us. Her father won the 1960 boxing gold medal in his weight class, 165 pounds at 31 years old.
Yes. So the gym is called Soldier Performance Readiness Center, and it's going to be at Fort Benning, Georgia. Of course, you know, you have to enter the gate to get into Fort Benning, but it's going to be at Sand Hill. And the address is 8897 Division Road, Building 3270, Sand Hill in Fort Benning, Georgia.
Hi, welcome home. It's Michelle Van Allen from Van Allen Real Estate. I am over 20 years experienced in this real estate game. We all know that right now in this market takes an experienced agent to get you what you need. All of you sellers, if you're considering putting your house on the market, please give me a call. I'd be more than happy to sit down and talk to you to find out where you place in this market. Hey, you first-time home buyers, remember, right now is the perfect time. It's a buyer's market to get you into your first dream home. Hey, you investors, this is an amazing time to invest. If you ever thought about it, give me a call. We can talk about it. We can talk about specific properties that are on your radar and mine. Give me a call. I'd be more than happy to welcome you into the Van Allen Real Estate team. I look forward to talking to you soon.
Now, have y'all enjoyed so far? You haven't seen nothing yet. And I tell you what, we got people that come in as help us, and we've told you about the Black 14 over and over. We have fed 1.5 million people in a matter of 3 years. We've gone to other countries. We've done a lot of things. But with these two individuals I'm about to bring on, it would never happened down the wood. I mean, we brought on some horses here. We got Ryan Lake as a best lawyer you can have, and Emily Dortch, who she guided me a long way when she was with CBS and everything, and they have come over to help us.
Absolutely, Tony. So let's hear what they have to say as they talk about the Black 14 and what they did before and now.
Well, here come another part of the show, and as we told you prior to this time that we were going to do something a little bit different. This is Black History Month, so we want to bring some Black history to you that really means a lot to me. And you're talking about the Black 14. Now, just to give you a little insight on this, the Black 14 was 14 Black athletes at the University of Wyoming, and they wanted to protest the way they were treated whenever they played Brigham Young University. They went in and talked to their coach, and unbeknown to them, he turned out to be the racist of the whole group. He put them off the team, told them they could never come back, told them they didn't even know who their parents were. And we found out what we were going against. So all these years, we are 50 years later, we have been involved with that. We did have a homecoming there with this individual like I'm about to introduce you to that made this happen. And let me introduce you to Emily Dortch. She was CBS Sports Vice President. And we asked her, what did you feel or why did you get involved with this? And the other man is Ryan Lake, our lawyer. And he's here to make sure I don't put my foot in my mouth. But let's get started right now. Emily, I know when you got involved with this, and what made you get involved with this? What did you see that made you want to be a part of this?
So we, every February when I was at CBS Sports, we would do a Black history documentary. And one of my producers was digging around, researching for stories, and found this story. And we couldn't find anywhere that it had been told in a documentary film. There had been a book written about it, and we just felt like it was such an important story to tell, and it was such a layered story. And the Black 14 had shown such courage that it would be a really important story to bring to the viewers for Black History Month and definitely beyond.
But what made you interested? What made you even think about us with it? Did you just hear about us or someone told you about the Black 14?
Well, we were doing research. We were trying to find the story that would have the most impact, and also a story that maybe hadn't been told over and over again, because a lot of these barrier breaker stories, or a lot of these stories that we told for Black History Month, were well known. We wanted something that wasn't as well known, and we came across research on the University of Wyoming and the Black 14, and it just seemed like it seemed like a story that needed to be told. And we were really honored that the members of the Black 14 were so helpful and so open and so honest when we did approach them and asked if we could tell their story, and when we produced the film.
Tony, could I actually jump in right quick to ask you a question? So during production of the Black 14 with CBS, what was one thing that really stood out to you about the filming of this documentary on the Black 14?
You know, I think the thing that was the most surprising to me, and I'm not sure why, and the most poignant, was that these men, it had experienced something that was still so real to them and meant so much to them. And it was such an emotional time for them and an emotional story for them. It was remarkable how much it mattered, and how that one incident when they were in college many, many years ago, almost 50 years before, had actually changed the course of their lives, and how much it still hurt what had happened at Wyoming when they were kicked off the team.
And Tony, could you answer that for yourself too, in the production part? What stood out to you?
Well, in the production part was it told stories and parts of the story that I did not even realize. And it also opened my eyes to the aspect that by now I'm have to look at it, BYU have done more than Wyoming to bring us back together. But that's not important right now. I had a story doing that. It was about my roommate, Ted Williams. And Ted, he was a quiet guy. And when I interviewed him one time, and it wasn't this story, but another one, and I always tell this because it's interesting. He said, well, I'm going to just tell you what this did to me. He said his father had never drank before. He said when he called him and told him he was put off the team, his father overdrank and killed himself. He didn't kill himself, but he killed himself by drinking. And that always sticks out to me, how it affected other people, how it affected you, Emily. But I got to go now to Ryan. Ryan, you are an attorney. We had another attorney. She retired. What made you interested in being involved with this story?
Well, I grew up in the Rocky Mountain West and had always heard of the Black 14. Never really knew the ins and outs of the story, really heard the Wyoming version. And then one day in 2021, I got a call from John Griffin. And that call really resonated with me. He told me the full story, what happened to you guys, the stance you took. And I got off that call and started doing a lot of research. I watched Emily's documentary. I watched the ESPN piece, and started calling, many people I know and asking, "Have you heard of this story before?" And no one really had, but it was just something I couldn't shake after hearing it from John, and it had a really deep impact on me, that phone call.
And I look at this and I think back, and a lot of times I think back of the anger that I've had for so many years, but I was wrong in that anger. I should have been looking at the aspect of what is happening right now, that we're working together to help the world. 1.5 million pounds of food to the underserved, and it just makes you feel good. But Donna, you had another question you want to ask Emily.
Yeah, and Emily, and also Ryan too, is when you look at everything across the years, and now where the Black 14 is, and now with what they're doing, when you look at the story, what impresses you both about what are you seeing the story about in the beginning and to now? What stands out the most to both of you right now?
Ryan, you want to go first?
What stood out to me most when I first heard it from John, and I think, as we see athletes put in a position where they have to speak their voice, is the courage that the Black 14 had back in 1969, given the atmosphere of the country at the time, Wyoming of all places, and the tensions that existed there and still exist to this day, but the courage that 19 and 20-year-olds took. And just this week, I saw 19 and 20-year-old athletes again speaking their voice, this time at the Olympics, but really following in the footsteps of the Black 14. And to me, that just really speaks to their legacy, that they have never stopped pushing for what's right and for social justice and freedom of speech, and using their platform for good. And I think that's a really powerful message for anyone, but it certainly for athletes that are given that special platform.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. And they were real pioneers when it came to using their platform for social change. Social change often starts with sports, and the Black 14 were instrumental in standing up and like Ryan said, using their platform, a platform that not as many people have, and it continues through this day, that sports can change the world, and the courage they showed also really resonates when you go back and hear the stories, and how painful it was to be kicked off the team, and how brave they were to stand their ground.
Hey, Tony, I want you to have the last word. I want to read something. We're almost out of time. It says, history sometimes judges actions more fairly than people do at times. Does your stories of the Black 14, since you were one of them, and I like what you said, Tony, is 14 guys. It's not so much the Black 14, but 14 guys trying to make a change. So does the story of the Black 14 change the way you think about protests in sports that you've seen across the globe?
I think I would it's done a little bit different now, because you have more of a media, more individuals you can be in contact with. I think that what this has meant to me, and even this part of it, at first I was very angry, and like everyone else, and I never looked further. And the whole time, I played 14 years in NFL, and I never let them know I was from the University of Wyoming. Mm-hmm. But now I look at this, and when I was getting into this, and I'm telling you, Emily, you guys really got it started. I mean, you had documentary that people got a chance to see us. But when I really got involved with this, I saw how we can help the generations of what's going on right now. We can show that we can work together with people, no matter what kind of adversarial problems you had. And this was a problem. I might as well be truthful with it. And I feel like when I talk to the individuals such as you, Emily, and you, Ryan, you guys have come in and made the difference. That's what we need. And if you fans get anything out of this, we just wanted you to see that we're working together on this. And there's one thing that I see with the whole thing. I'm going to ask you this question, Donna, but I want to ask you, Ryan, real quick. I know we're running out of time. What has it meant to you, and what have you felt truly since you've been working with the Black 14?
Well, it certainly meant a lot to me. I feel like I've got to know all the Black 14 really well, and really consider you my friends, which is a real honor of mine, to be able to call you a friend, Tony, and John, and everybody else. When you are such big figures in history, and certainly in the Mountain West. So it's meant everything to me to be able to work with you on this and play a really small role in supporting you and your message. No,
it's not a small role, but at the same time, I want to thank both of you guys, and we'll do this again. But Donna, I want to leave it with you, because you were the first one to interview me on television with this. What changed? You didn't know of Emily, or you didn't know of Ryan, or you didn't know that we were doing things overseas, or what we're giving our food. What changes have you seen from the first time you interviewed me to now?
Yeah, Tony, the changes I've seen is the impact that the two parties involved in this, the church, the Black 14, coming together, mending fences and putting those things behind, and then making an impact in the community. As you said, feeding communities, giving out a lot of food. And I saw wounded hearts being mended. Can't we say that across the country right now? is those hearts being mended from what injustice were done. But I want to read something again that pertains really, before we have to go, Tony. It says it's not just about a game, but it's about people using their voices when it mattered most. And we could say that today is using your voices when it matters most. And Emily said it best when she said the platform that you're seeing in the Winter Olympics right now with what the players are standing up for. So
I thank all you fans for listening to this, and I hope you got something out of it. If you didn't get anything that we've had to learn to work together and for the good, you got that. So Emily, Ryan, thank you for being on the show, and you fans. We're going to get to the rest of the Black 14. We're going to have them on here doing a little interviews and stuff. We hope you're enjoying this, but one thing we want you to do is to get the word. We'll be back in a moment.
Crystal City Sports Pub, located in the heart of National Landing, is ranked one of the top 20 sports bars in the country. We are open 365 days a year. Crystal City Sports Pub, with its laid-back atmosphere, is the place to be. We offer 3 levels, over 100 TVs, an 18-foot video wall, pool tables, 3 full bars featuring 11 beers on tap, an extensive menu, and super friendly staff. We offer on- and off-site catering and ample space to host private parties and gatherings. Come experience Crystal City Sports Pub. It is the place to be.
Now, you thought that interview was something. We brought in a guy. We went to the College Hall of Fame. We had a guy that just really helped us. And, I don't always have to. He's one of them guys that say if you know him well enough, you can call him by his first name. Now, his first name is Dennis. That's all y'all need to know from now on. But his real name is Dennis Crawford. And we couldn't have done it without him. We were in the College Football Hall of Fame. Welcome to the show, Dennis. Well, as we told you, this is going to be an exciting show. So we want to bring the people that have made it possible for the Black 14 to get where they are. And one guy that I'm bringing on today, he's with the College Hall of Fame. He taught me a lot about what I thought I knew with the Black 14. They had an exhibition of us. Dennis Crawford. Hey, Dennis, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me, Tony. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, Donna trying to have time on, but we're going to have a good time, man. And I just got a couple of questions I want to ask you. You had our exhibition down there at the College Football Hall of Fame, I think, or wherever it was. And I want to get what feeling did you get from the people when they came in? And I know you may have good and bad. It doesn't matter. We just want to get the feeling.
Well, we actually didn't have any bad, Tony. I think it's because so few people in this area of the country truly knew about the Black 14, because here in the Deep South, Atlanta, when we talk about the civil rights movement of the 1960s, granted, a lot of people do talk about Dr. King because he lived and worked so much in Atlanta. But what I wanted to do was to try and broaden it out and show that the civil rights movement was in all 50 states during the 1960s. And when I came upon the story of the Black 14, it was just a very logical connection between the civil rights movement and college football, plus the added story of how you and your adversaries became partners for the greater good later in your lives. So from that standpoint, this is about as close to a perfect story that a museum can be affiliated with.
And Dennis, you're really right on that. And that's what I said. You taught me a lot of stuff that I didn't know, but at the same time, it makes me very happy to see that people are picking up the information we're trying to give. And the information is, don't worry about what happened 50 or 60 years ago. Look what's happening today. Look at 2 individuals that adversaries of 2 schools. And then you come in, and at this time, for over 50 years, we've been disliking everything. But now we got individuals such as you and other individuals that are interested in, so people get the full story. It's really helping us get us out. But now I want to ask you this. Did a lot of people go by and look at it because they want to find out what it was about, or was it viewed a lot or little? Let's just say it way.
Well, it was actually a very popular exhibit because if you remember, we invited you all down just to celebrate Black History Month. And so originally the exhibit was only supposed to be for the month of February. And because of the powerful message of the Black 14, I got invited to extend it all the way up until June. So what was supposed to be just a 30-day exhibit ended up being almost a 6-month exhibit. And so tens of thousands of people who came through the hall during that time got to learn about your story through the artifacts that you generously lent to us, between the work of Brigham Young and Wyoming to make sure that there were a nice 3-dimensional component in there to go along with your guys' valuable donation of time at the town hall that we had, the film screening we had, and of course the most important thing, the truckload of food that you all donated to the Atlanta Food Bank. So it was nothing but positive. And I know that can kind of sound naive, but I literally heard not one negative thing about the exhibit.
And that's so interesting, but so nice to hear, for the simple reason, as we know, as I said, for the past 50 years, we haven't been the only ones angry. The school was angry, the people were angry, and every time they saw that. And what I wanted to say is, we look at ourselves as the Black 14 now, but not the Black 14 football players. We're all too old for that. The Black 14 that can make a change, and that's what we're trying to do. We wanted to be a change. We've given away, as you said, 1.5 million pounds of food. That's not enough. We need to do more, and that's where we want your fans to come in. We want you to see people like Dennis. We want you to see like Emily, James Brown, different people coming in to help us, and that's what we want your help at. But I got another big question. I'm going to end this because I know Donna will be telling me in a few minutes. We over time. But is there any opportunity that we could come back again?
Oh, there's always.
I know that's not your decision. I understand that.
Oh no, I can honestly say that we would love to work with you again. Now, we try not to repeat exhibits too often because we're afraid that they would lose their power. But as far as working with the Black 14 to hopefully get another truckload of food to those in need here in Atlanta, or 2 or 3 or 4 truckloads, of course, we would love to work with you again, because the philanthropy going forward far outweighs anything that happened on the gridiron.
Yes. And the other thing is this, and I understand the information would change, because what I would like to do now is catch the Black 14 and see, how did it affect them? Where are they now? Does it still affect them? I want to have, that's the kind of information, and I want us to have a different look. When they had the Black 14, I want them to be rough. I want them to be cowboys like we were, dressed in all black, but we there for good. And so, think about that when we thinking about an exhibition. But at the same time, I want to thank you again, Dennis. And one thing I want to thank you about is being a friend and getting our story out there. And, anything we can do for you guys, we'll be there for you. But hey, my friend, I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Tony. Good luck to you on this project. And I look forward to my next phone call.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it. Dennis looking forward to the next phone call. But it was so nice. We didn't have Donna jumping on me right then. But at the same time, we got some more in the show. I know she's going to take the opportunity. But hey, having Dennis Crawford on was special. We'll be back in a moment.
Looking for top-notch sports officials who know the game inside and out? The Greater Potomac Officials Association, GPOA, proudly serves the military community throughout our region, with nearly 90% of our officials being military retirees, active duty service members, or guardsmen. We bring unmatched discipline, professionalism, and integrity to every contest. From youth leads to adult alumni, our officials cover it all. Want to learn more about GPOA or bring our officials to your program? Contact owner and CEO Earl Teller III at 202-498-2032 or email him at gr8rpotomac@comcast.net.
The one-of-a-kind joy of Kellogg's cereal and ice-cold milk.
Now, if you enjoyed that interview, you got something to look at now. We got 2 of the Black 14. The reason these guys are so important, after the incident happened with the Black 14, they stayed out there. They kept the name alive. Now they're on our board. They're doing so many great things. But when you talk about giving away 1.5 million pounds of food, and one of these guys made it happen. I'm talking about the two guys that my partners on the board, and I'm talking about Melvin Hamilton and John Griffin. Hey guys, welcome to the show. I mean, you know, I even though I was lying, I gave y'all all your accolades. No kidding, you know. And one thing I'm going to ask you, and I think the panel want to ask you a few things, is how does that affect you guys? And no, but Mel, I want to go to you first. You were here before we were.
Right.
You were the first one that got it where we could get the food. But the first incident that you had, can you tell us a little bit about it? You met a young lady, you wanted to get married, and what happened?
Well, I actually met my oldest child's mother in Wyoming, and we hit it off quite well. And as nature will do, we were romantically involved, and she became pregnant. And I wanted to do the right thing, what I thought was the right thing, and that was to marry her and move into marriage housing at the University of Wyoming. And so I went to Red Jacoby. As you guys know, he was the athletic director. And for those of you that do not know the authority of an athletic director, the athletic director is over all athletics. That means coaches as well as facilities. And so I went to Red and asked for marriage student housing. And he said, Mel, I think that's great. I think you're doing an honorable thing. Go tell Lloyd, I said, to write up the papers. And so I went over to the field house and ran into the coach coming down the steps. And I said, Coach, I just came from Mr. Jacoby, and he would like for you to start the paperwork for me getting into married student housing. And I going to get married to Kathy Kinney, and I want your approval by writing up the papers. And he looked at me, and if I thought if the man had a gun, he would have shot me. And instead, he said, hell no. You're not going to use the people of Wyoming money and shack up in dormitory. And I said, what? I said, Jacoby said that you are to write up the papers. He said, hell no. And I said, well, I can't play for you. And so I left and I went over to the Brown and Gold and had some coffee and got a hold of Kathy. And as fate would have it, that very same day, Kathy Kinney's parents, who ran the Elephant Head Lodge in Wapiti, Wyoming, was trying to cross the river on horseback. The mother got in trouble. The father went back to help, and both of them got killed. Same day.
That was a bad day, man. But you know what? I listened to that story, and I know what you've done, and it'll be mentioned in this more parts of this show. But at the same time, I listen to that story, and every time I hear it, my heart goes out to it. And you know, we had a lot of stories like that, and you were the one, and we'll hit a little later with the food bank that we were able to start. But Griffin, I have to talk to you because I remember talking to you, and we make this quick because we don't have a lot of time. But I remember you were saying you had just got here, you had won the job, you had an opportunity to go forward, and then this was casted on you, and you had to make a major decision.
Yeah, man, that was probably the most difficult decision for a 21-year-old could ever make. I mean, I just turned 21 by 2 months, and I had to make an adult decision on my life, and we all had to do it. And I remember being lost, not really knowing which way to travel. And I remember a week before I was finishing finals, I thought, I got to call my dad and I got to let him know before I show up for Christmas holiday. And so I called him up, and I'll never forget this conversation. I think you remember you and I had this conversation too, Tony, a ways back. I said, "Hey, Pop, how you doing?" He goes, "How are you?" I go, "I'm all right." He goes, "Are you sure?" I go, "Yeah, I'm all right." He goes, "Well, what are you going to do?" My dad's a real funny guy, but he can get serious in a heartbeat. And he got serious on me. And he says, "Well, what are you going to do?" I said, "Pop, I have no idea." And he hesitated for a second. He says, "I know you're going to figure it out." Right.
And we got a couple more people we're going to put on, but I want to ask you two right now and give me your quick answers. Both of you, would you do it again?
I was going to say that, Tony, and I want you to answer it too.
Oh, that's right. You can go and answer, Donnie.
No, I just want
and I know you got something too, South. So y'all, I'm sorry. When I get with my boys, I get kind of wound up. You know, I'm with my boys.
I see y'all still wound up, but that was one question I had for all of you all is knowing what you know today and looking back, would you do it all again? And if so, why? And I'm going to start with you first, Tony.
I would do it again because at that point in time, that's what was in my life. And it was civil rights and trying to be right and knowing whom you are working with and who you are working for. So, yes, I would do it again as before. It cost me some things, but it also put me in the place where God wanted me to be. So I must have done the right thing. So, yes, I'll do it again.
John?
Oh, yeah, I would do it again, but I would do it a little bit differently. I would actually reach out to some of the white players and have that conversation with them. And see, you know, because I found out years ago that Frosty Franklin didn't know anything about it. And he had gone on record saying, if had I known about it, I'd have gone to the coach and said, you need to put these guys back on the football team. And we didn't know that, and we knew Phil Carpuck would have done the same thing. So there's several guys but we didn't think about that. This is our thing. We got to make this decision. And to me, it was a decision of a lifetime. I mean, my God, we all had good grades. My grades went away because I stopped going to class, and I'm sure I was depressed. I had no idea what that meant. And I just, I was just drifting away for a while. But would I do it again? Oh, absolutely. Because we're standing up for something that's right.
You got that right. And
so,
Mel, you got the last word before we got to go to a break.
Me?
Yes.
Hey, yeah, absolutely. I would do it all over again. Basically, he beat me once. And I wasn't going to let him beat me again.
That's right.
And so, yes, I would definitely. But the only difference, John, that I would have made, I would have gotten into his face when he berated us the way.
Yeah, that's true. You know, I had this conversation with some friends, and I said he didn't realize that he had 14 alpha dogs looking at him, and if somebody had gone off, it wouldn't have been pretty.
Well, I'll tell you what, and you look at that situation, and I do wonder sometimes why we didn't. Solomon, I know you had a big question. We're going to jump on it as soon as we get back. We're going to bring some other people in. But I tell you what, when you listen to these players and you listen to these stories, half of it is not there. Half of it is not there when you talk about somebody up on the building with a high-powered rifle looking for us. Half of it is not there wherever we went, we were marked. Half of us are not there where God tell us to get out of, he can't go to his school, go to the black colleges. Don't even know who told us. We don't even know who our parents is. So this is a deep story. But if you get nothing else out of this story, I want you to see how the Black 14, and I think Melvin said it best, we serve love. And we come back, we have a couple more guys with their story. Maybe some kind of way we can get Mel and them back. But Solomon, you got it up when we come back. We'll be back in a moment.
The one-of-a-kind joy of Kellogg's cereal and ice-cold milk.
Now we're going to keep this going on. We only have a little time, but we want to get every story. Solomon, you had some stories and you wanted to ask some people some questions. And I know you know about it because you lived in the house with me after that occurred.
Well, first of all, it's good seeing you guys again. I haven't seen you guys since you guys were honored in San Antonio that time. It's good to see you guys looking so young as usual. One thing I can say, and with me being the age of 50, I didn't really learn about the Black 14 until later on in my life. But one thing I was able to see through the blessings of God, through everything my father went through, he still was able to pursue his football career. That's my question to you guys. Did that change your attitude on how you felt as a football player? Because I'm going to be honest, as a former basketball player, I've gone through things and it didn't derail me. But did that derail you guys far as that's the game y'all love? Like, I'm going to be honest, that's the game y'all love. And I was being with my dad and being able him to still go to Bishop and still be able to go play 14 years in the NFL. I know that opportunity didn't happen for everybody. Did that change y'all love for the game after this, or did y'all still love football the same way?
And that was the president calling you too, Solomon. I don't know what you said wrong, but y'all going to answer the question.
Hold on, not on President's Day. I'm scared on President's Day. On top of that.
He said he was canceling Black History Month.
Right.
Did it change y'all? Did it change your love of the game?
Well, I'll be real. I'll start off and be real quick and brief. Yes, it definitely changed mine, Solomon. I love the game of football, and it got me out there. And I have never put another football helmet on to this day, even the one they gave us out at the University of Wyoming. And I had never been in a huddle either until I went back to Wyoming back in, I think, last time we were there. So, yes, it changed my love for the game. I watch it, and I think we were the first to start of the NIL, because Chad had a sign that said, we give up something to the effect, we give up a lot now for the future of the other blacks.
Yeah.
So yes, it changed my love for it very much.
Thank y'all for that, because I was part of that future. Thank y'all for that.
You got two Super Bowl winners sitting right there, players sitting on this camera. So I know it didn't change their love for the game because they played and went to two. Both of them went to Super Bowls. Tony went to two, and Joe went to one as well.
No, I went to two.
Change mine, but
don't be acting like you don't want to.
Tell him it's a way of getting.
I went to two. I won one, but I lost one. I went to two.
Did it change, like Mr. Guillermo? Did it change your love of the game? I mean, I know I saw some footage of how y'all was. Did it change your love? Was your passion the same after this?
You asking me?
Yes.
Okay, doctor, you're going to have to come with it.
Absolutely. I still love the game. What happened at Wyoming didn't have anything to do with the game. It had to do with the people that were playing the game.
Got you.
And so my love for the game wasn't changed, not one bit.
Okay.
And I still watch it, still love it. Watched everything your dad did, everything Joe did as pros, and was envious because I wasn't out there contributing. So no, it didn't change my love for the game at all.
Appreciate it.
Hey, Captain Williams, now I want to go to you last because you were my roommate and you were the captain of the team, and you really had to make a major thought process through this.
Well, thanks.
Your mic is off, Joe.
Oh, no, we can hear Joe.
Oh, you can? I can't. Yep. Go ahead.
No, it didn't change my love of the game. In fact, it made it even more. I love the game even more, and I think that was one of the great things going there. When I got there, I know Coach Landry called me in, and he said he told me that he knew what happened in my past, but that nothing was going on right here. That it was like a fresh start, and I took him at that, and I took everything that I learned, everything I'd gone through, and I was determined to make it. And so that was my goal. And I think going through this in the beginning, I was thinking about I was the only senior, and then the rest of the guys were underclassmen. And then that was a big decision, to make, from that standpoint. I know Tony asked me earlier again, would I do it again? And absolutely, in a heartbeat, because I think it was the right decision to do. We were setting up for a lot of great things, especially in terms of civil rights. And then on top of that, I probably would have been drafted earlier and might not have been drafted by the Cowboys.
So I wonder why I can't.
You would have been Redskin bound. Let's go.
But Tony, I want to ask you all, and this is for all of you all, looking at athletes today, how can they use their platform even more? You got social media and all the things that you all didn't have. And I'm going to start with you, Tony. How can athletes today use their platform and their voice to even be more impactful at this day and time?
They need to listen to their voice. They need to listen to what happened, and they need to know history. And they need to know that football will be here when they're gone. So you do right when you're there or you're not. And one thing they have to learn is you have to stand up for what you believe. You can't say you believe something and then you back down. You have to stand up, and it may cost you. I had coaches tell me that I was going to go higher if that had not happened. But at the same time, I would not be sitting here talking with you guys. I would do it 100% again.
Okay, everybody, Joe, to jump in. Let me hear what you got to say.
Well, I think that, Tony hit the nail on the head. I definitely do it again. You stand up for what you believe, and you stand up for what is right, and you set an example, and that goes a long ways. I know my sons and my daughter just admired what I did at that age, and I was willing to stand for something that was right, and it made a difference with a lot of people in terms of their lives. And so I think that it was the best thing that could ever happen.
Dowdy?
Yes, sir. Definitely, I would do it again. I had an incident earlier in my life that we had a similar incident in high school, and we stood up for it at that time. So I grew up believing you stand up for what you think is right. And when I ran into 13 other young men that believed the same thing, it was the only thing I would have thought to do. And like said a lot of times, I could definitely stayed away and kept my scholarship because I wasn't really playing at that time. So I stood up for it then. I stand up for it now. And like it's been said, I got grandchildren that'll read about it, and I have current nieces and nephews and children that are proud of all of us. And yes, I would definitely do it again.
Guillermo.
So now, which question am I answering? Because it looked like
you do it again.
That's all right. The athletes of today, how can they use their platform, learning and seeing what you all did?
I ain't answer that one.
Well, I like your other answer anyway.
I got you. Well, I think it starts. Tony made the comment that remembering their history. I think that if Henry Louis Gates Jr. would cameo us on his program as if he acts as though we don't exist as part of Black history. And he was born in 1950, so I know he was around when the Black 14 occurred. I think that would help cameo what we did, since we haven't been able to do the feature film. And if you don't watch the ESPN or CBS Sports or any of the specials or Vimeo that Spike Lee did, then you don't see the history. I still believe we were the Jackie Robinsons of college football, because the average football team back then only had 2 or 3 players that were African American. And I think that if we're only talking about African Americans using the platform, then I think that they have the opportunity to do that with NIL.
We want your individual to know we're going to do some more of these shows if you want us to during the off season. Just email us at redmagplustv at AOL, the running man.com. Let us know you like it. Let us know you want us to continue. We're going to be working this off season to make it better and make you guys come and watch us, because a day without you guys is a day without sunshine. So for all of my friends on here, and thank you for this show, for all of you who have watched this year, I want to say we never say goodbye. We say in the minute.